Thanks for coming today. Hope everyone had a good week. Last Sunday, the board of directors officially approved, and we as an organization launched what we're calling Free on the Inside, which is a meditation program for currently and formerly incarcerated individuals. Sweetwater Zen Center has a long history of a prison meditation project, and so we are officially relaunching. And part of this project is writing letters to incarcerated people, having a letter correspondence. There are a surprising number of inmates across the country who are interested in meditation and learn about Buddhism and want to have pen pals to help support them in their practice, which is incredibly inspiring to be in that situation and want to pursue the awakened way. And of course, if anyone is interested in joining that effort and responding to some of these letters that we get from inmates, the door is open, and we encourage everyone to get involved. We also are bringing meditation into prisons. Right now, I'm active at the Camp Pendleton Brig for military offenders, but we've also gone into Donovan Detention Center, and there are other opportunities. I know Kosei talked about visiting women in the women's prison. At least the military women's prison is in Miramar, so we might be doing that as well. And Kosei actually sent me an article from the magazine Lion's Roar, which is a Buddhist periodical. And this article is about this woman named Kathleen Jameson, who is a Buddhist practitioner and a life coach and singer and otherwise performer. And she wrote this beautiful article about her male interaction, MAIL interaction with inmates herself. And it's such a moving article that I thought I would just kind of read through it and add some commentary, and hopefully it'll inspire us to get involved in this Free on the Inside project, and also really create, at least for me, reading the article created or garnered real solidarity with these people on the inside, and realized that our spirit is so similar and our paths are so similar, even with such differing situations. So let's just go through this awesome article. So it starts, the envelopes stamped religious material come bundled with bills, catalogs, and mailers arriving in my rural post office box once or twice a month. So she's setting the scene here. She's a performer and a life coach, but she lives in this rural area. She gets her mail, and every once in a while there are letters from inmates asking for spiritual friendship. And she says, in handwriting, large or small, blocky or scrawled, prisoners from around the country write to me. Among stories of grief and regret, violence and hope, I see again and again the radiating coal of one burning question. How can I quiet my mind? Does anyone else resonate with that question? Is there anyone here who does not resonate with that question? Looks like we have someone come in here. And so I'm just so struck by the timelessness, spacelessness of that question. How can I quiet my mind? It's what we're all doing here. After decades of intensive meditation, I'm still sitting here every day with this question: how can I quiet my mind? The mind is always active, and it's just so touching to me that since the beginning of time and the beginning of humanity, we're given this situation where we have to use our mind. We have to think about how to put things together, how to solve problems, how to understand things. In order to survive as humans, our mind has to be active. And yet, we all come across this burning desire to quiet it. And it reminds me of this koan in the Mumon Khan, or the Gateless Gate, where Eka, or Daizu Weiku, who's the second Chinese ancestor, he comes to Bodhidharma. Bodhidharma is a major figure in our lineage. He's presumably credited with bringing Buddhism from India to China. And Bodhidharma is sitting there in China in deep meditation. And this guy, Eka, comes to him and he wants to know so badly, what is this Buddha way? How do I experience enlightenment? And so he's standing outside of Bodhidharma's abode in the snow. And Bodhidharma has rejected him already a couple times. No, go away. You're not worthy of this practice. Which, today we're like, please come to the earth. Please practice with us. And back in the old days, it was like, I'll maybe take on one student or two if you're worthy. And so this guy, Eka, is so desperate, he cuts off his own arm and presents it to Bodhidharma. This is how badly I want this. Some of us have a really hard time giving up our Saturday nights to come do sesshin or a retreat. This guy gives up his freaking arm. She says, the radiating coal of a burning question. So, I don't know, I just hope that we all take moments in our life to realize, how burning is this question? What am I willing to give up to really pursue this way? The answer might evolve over time. And so the end of that koan is Bodhidharma says, okay, I get it. You're really determined here, and I'll take you on. And so Eka says, one-armedly, he says, please pacify my mind for me. It's the same freaking question as these prisoners. How can I quiet my mind? Timeless question, answerless question. And Bodhidharma says, bring me your mind and I will pacify it for you. And Eka says, I have searched everywhere and I cannot find it. And Bodhidharma says, I have pacified your mind for you. All of these questions, all of these troubles, all of these burning conflicts, all of these things in our life that we think are going wrong, where are they? What are they? Whose are they? And if we practice really diligently, metaphorically cutting off our arms with this question, we might get a little glimpse into the fact that they're not there. They do not belong to anybody. So, going on with this letter, she says, this kind of epistolary relationship is hopelessly antiquated, which, after looking up in the dictionary, epistolary means of letters, like written letters. As billions of text messages whiz back and forth across this wired planet, these men procure pens and pencils, yellow legal paper and sheets ripped from notebooks. They sit, write, and wait for an answer. Gosh, I don't think I've done that for decades. Um, and then she says, when I hold their letters, I know something of them. The way they form their M's and B's, how they plow through margins using every inch of paper real estate. And this was so touching to me, how we can really see each other in everything we do. I totally see that. The difference between this M and that M, or the way people dot their I's. And of course, that's with letters, but the way people look at you, the way people shake your hand, the way a bird caws, the way a cat rubs up against you, the way a tree blows in the wind. Can we really allow the entire person, the entire being, to enter us in every little gesture that they make? And I was thinking about that and why that was resonating with me so much. And because it kind of starts bordering on doing people's inventory, right? Oh, they didn't laugh at that joke. They must be blah, blah, blah. Or, oh, they're wearing that shirt, so they must be blah, blah, blah. And that's dangerous, right? Doing people's inventory, thinking we can like see people and be psychic or whatever. And, maybe we can, but that is a dangerous game. And at least in Zen, we really try to avoid doing that inventory. So, what is this that's so beautiful about reading, allowing the M's and the B's and the little minutia, the nuances enter us? And it reminded me of this, what we call bearing witness, right? In our lineage, we talk a lot about the three tenets: not knowing, bearing witness, and loving action. This was our Dharma grandfather, Bernie Glassman's major contribution to Western Buddhism. So, not knowing is meditation, right? Letting go of all of our ideas and concepts, approaching everything totally fresh, no judgments, no expectations, no conditioning. And of course, that's impossible, but this is what we aspire to. And so, from that place of not knowing, wiping away all of our preconceived notions and just being totally open and fresh, we bear witness. And bearing witness is more than just perceiving, right? The way she writes this, the way they form their M's and B's, how they plow through margins, that is bearing witness, allowing every little subtlety, every detail of our interactions with life to be completely just take us over, be totally one with everything that we encounter. And then without analyzing and trying to do inventory, just allow that to truly penetrate. See every little minutia of every moment. How often do we bring awareness like that to our daily life? And then she goes on, handwriting is an embodied form of communication, reflecting a human being. And though we'll never speak to each other, I can imagine their voices through this paper that still holds traces of their DNA. And now mine. I love that. And I guess she could be talking about literal DNA, like our little skin flakes are on the letter or whatever. But I think what she's getting at is that everything we do, every letter we write, every word we speak, every step we take, every interaction we have, every meditation session, every time we sit on the toilet is a complete expression of everything that we are, a total expression of our Buddha nature. And I know that in the somatic world, the psychological world, we're learning more and more about how our actual DNA is affected by every little thing, how our nervous system, our traumas, our conditions literally do get embedded in our DNA. And I know very little about that. Um, but to me, from a Buddhist standpoint, if we just change DNA to karma, right? They're both the thing that makes us what we are, right? In a scientific sense, DNA is the expression of what we are. And in a spiritual sense, in a universal sense, our karma, which is the collective amalgamation of causes and effects since the beginning of time that makes us what we are right this moment, um, that is expressed in everything we do. Every life, every moment since the beginning of time is present right here in every little letter that you write, in every text message you send. And so, if we can really open up to that and bear witness with that open heart from that place of not knowing, we really get to know people. We really get to feel and connect with people on a deeper level, not just people, but the whole universe. So that's so inspiring to me to see every little moment as an expression of karma, of everything that we are. Even when we're just sitting on the couch, totally dazed and just and not engaged at all, that is a total expression of our Buddha nature, of the oneness of everything, whether you know it or like it or not. She goes on. Let's see. When the letters first started arriving, I'd feel a prick of excitement and dread. A friend suggested I place them on my altar for a few days before opening them to help me be at ease with their unknowable contents. So that resonated with me because, we've been talking actually a lot about ceremony and statues and altars because we're in this ongo period, this intensive 90-day period. So we do service every morning, we do more ceremony training, and it's gotten me to, really look at what does ritual mean to me? What does ceremony mean to me? What do these statues and bowing and all these really specific forms that Zen has, what does that really mean to me? Why do I push through my resistance to them? Um, and that answer is going to be different for all of us, and it's always going to be changing. But this really embodied it for me. She puts these letters, she's like kind of scared and dreading these letters because these letters do sometimes have some really intense stories and stuff from these people on the inside. And so to put it on the altar next to a statue, next to your incense or flowers, just as a reminder, that's what comes up for me every morning as we bow to the altar and chant together and chant the names of the Buddhas and all the things we do. It's just little reminders to come from that place of not knowing, to let go of trying to answer things, to let go of trying to have things be a certain way, right? All these beautiful aspects of our meditation practice. Um, really opening up to these forms and rituals, as arbitrary as they may seem, as irrelevant to our modern day life as they may feel, to just kind of surrender. Surrender to the one body, to the community of all of us who are engaging in this practice. And to really see these forms and these statues as support systems, reminders that everyone here at Sweetwater, all these guys on the inside, Eka thousands of years ago cutting his arm off, we're all in this together. We all want the same thing. How do I quiet my mind? So, yeah, that was kind of encouraging to me to really use these forms as a reminder. Sometimes the questions in these letters are blessedly straightforward. Is it possible to be gay and a Zen Buddhist? Of course it is. But then stickier questions come up. How do I handle violence in the yard without getting drawn in? Or how can I not harm people or myself when I'm trapped in this system that is set up to do both? Whew, damn. So, I hope that we all see that our current criminal justice system is set up to harm people. They are literally criminal making factories. Um, and, many people have success and are rehabilitated and experience successful reentry. Many. But from the few times I've been in prisons, from the few people I know who have been in prison, it really is set up for failure. And I hope that our current prison system and the way we deal with criminals is seen as barbaric and antiquated very soon. Don't know how, I just know that it's not working. But more relevant to our purposes here, it is really resonant of our life. How am I supposed to not suffer when I live in a system that is set up for suffering? It's exactly what the Buddha said, his very first teaching. Life is suffering. We experience joy, we fall in love, and it all goes away. Everything will crumble. Everything will dissolve. Everyone you love will perish. Every success you have will go sour. This is the nature of impermanence. So, what does it mean to pursue the end of suffering in a system or a life that is literally set up to make you suffer? And she says, I'm never satisfied with my responses to these questions, yet I have to say something. I love that. You're never going to be satisfied. You're never, no matter how much you're here sitting, you're never going to come across a moment or a phrase or a teaching or an experience where all of a sudden the suffering goes away. That is not the ticket. You have to say something. We have to show up. We have to look at our suffering. We have to go into our suffering. That is how you deal with it. And of course, we can definitely have a conversation about more suffering versus less suffering. It's very easy to think that these guys are suffering more in prison. I think that's pretty clear, doesn't have to be said. But I also think it's really powerful to realize that this question, how can I not harm people or myself when I'm trapped in this system that is set up to do both? We're all living that. And that's solidarity. No matter how much worse their situation is, the fact that we're all dealing with that, I think, is a powerful service. So she goes on, because I travel often as a performer, I carry these letters with me on tour. I've written to prisoners from hotel rooms and trains and planes. I've answered prison letters looking out at the mountains of Baja, the waters of San Juan. My freedom to move in the world is always more poignant when I'm holding the words of a man who doesn't see sunlight. One prisoner wrote, I miss the color blue, the sky. Hmm. I love that idea that we're carrying around the suffering of the world wherever we go. I think that's nice. I miss the color blue. Like he doesn't see the sky ever. It's just awful. But it reminds me of a koan, case 50, no, case, yes, 53 of the Blue Cliff record. Hyakujo and Baso are walking, and a flock of ducks fly by. And Baso says, what is that? And of course, in these Zen stories, that those questions are, you know, pointed at your understanding. What is this? What is your life? Since we're one with everything, those ducks that just flew by, what is that? What is your true self? And Hyakujo says, a flock of ducks. A flock? A group? Something. Or he says wild ducks. He says wild ducks. So that's kind of a nice answer. What are you? What is your true self? The ducks in the sky. The sky. Um, and then Baso says, where have they gone? And Hyakujo says, flown away. And then Baso grabs his nose and he twists it. And Hyakujo cries out in pain. And Baso says, when has this ever flown away? Where is your true self not present? Every letter, every hug, every nap you take is your true self. So, in that sense, where did the sky go? You say you miss the sky. There's nothing special about the sky. The reason the sky is so beautiful is because we see ourselves in it. The sky is us. That is what's so powerful about it. But just like Baso says, the sky doesn't go anywhere. Your true self is never gone, in prison or not. Let's see, I'll try to wrap it up here. Sometimes, no. Uh, yeah, sometimes it seems like they write to remind me of everything I take for granted. It's not that they complain about their lives, but simply describing them taps my awareness of everything they don't have and everything I do. So, yeah, I think we can all resonate with that. Seeing an unsheltered person on the street, visiting victims of domestic violence, visiting inmates, we realize how much we do have. And for me, there seems to be two roads here. One road is, therefore, I'm going to be so grateful for everything that I have, and I'm going to enjoy my freedom that much more, and I'm going to, order all the finest foods because I can and really take advantage of it, and I'm going to see all my friends and just bask in the love of the freedom and the friends I have because I know that not everybody has it. And then the other road, the road that my heart has always kind of tended to take is, well, because so many people don't have what I have, I'm going to I can't enjoy what I have as much. I'm actually almost gonna like purposefully not enjoy what I have. I'm going to carry their suffering with me and like purposefully mitigate the appreciation I have for what I have. And I don't know which one is better. I'm not here to say which one is right or more healthy. Probably pros and cons to both. But there's something that we read. We have this anti racist study group. And the last book that we read in the study group was Me and White Supremacy by Layla Saad. And she said something, I think, a number of times in the book that really resonated with me, that I was so grateful for, that I feel like a lot of people tiptoe around in the anti racist world. She just said, totally, unashamed, part of our work as white people with white privilege is to give up our privilege. I feel like I so much more often hear, use your privilege, appreciate your privilege, and use it to make other people's lives better, which, I get. That's clear. But I was so grateful for, like, no, like, give up your privilege, experience less comfort. If you're up for the promotion and so is this BIPOC person, like, get out of the race. If you're going to lose a friend because you bring up an issue of race, lose your friend. And that's just so powerful to me. There's something, there could be something toxic in there, but I also think there's something really selfless about that. So when I look at the sky and I'm thinking about this person who doesn't get to see the sky, I don't know, there's part of me that says, so I'm going to just bask in it and appreciate it so much. But there's another part of me that's like, fuck that. He doesn't get the sky, I don't get the sky. So I'm not going to look. And yeah, I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's the Bodhisattva way or not. But I do know that after a lifetime of taking that road, I think it has kind of fed my compassion a little bit and allowed me to, like this woman does, carry these people's pain with me and allow me to be more sensitive moment by moment. Maybe not. Maybe not. Just food for thought. Um, yeah, so she ends these are men who awaken in pre dawn darkness to sit alone in silence before the clanging, clattering madness of the ward begins. Does that sound familiar to any of us? Waking up early to sit, to really open up to not knowing, so that we can just bear witness to the clanging and clattering madness of our daily life. They're grappling with how to live a good life in impossible circumstances. I see great determination in this and simple heroism, calling these criminals who have murdered and robbed and beaten and raped, calling them heroes. Hmm. So I think we're all living in impossible circumstances. Some of us more impossible than others. I think that's reasonable, right? You can say it's impossible to shoot a basketball in a 40-foot rim, and it's more impossible to shoot a basketball in a 200-foot rim. But yeah, I just love how, I feel like grateful to these prisoners through this article for showing me how we're all grappling with this impossible circumstance of thinking we're a self in this selfless world. So I hope this has inspired us in our practice, hopefully encouraged some of us to join in this letter writing practice. Sounds very powerful, or it is very powerful. And so thank you for listening.